Good morning, everybody. It is the 8th of April. We are Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Steve O'Hare. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, mate. All right.
Yeah, not bad. Thanks, you.
Yeah, not too bad.
Good
Too bad.
stuff. Okay, so we had the FOMC minutes last night, and we seem to be shrugging off any concerns about inflation. Obviously, we were focused on the minutes going into the 7 o'clock release of that yesterday. It suggested no imminent changes to economic stimulus, and it'll be likely some time until substantial further progress towards the maximum employment and price stability goals will be realised. That's according to the record of the March gathering. So more of the same. They've got a very much united front on this for now, and we're seeing. They appear to be viewing the recent rise in yields as a reflection of an improving economic outlook. So more of the same expected. In terms of what's going on with the vaccine side of things, investors mostly shrugging off the warning from European Medicines Agency that there is a possible link between AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine and a rare type of blood clots in the brain. Among the 20 million who have received the shot in Britain, 79 people have now suffered blood clots, with 19 of those people dying. Still, the UK recommended not using the Astra vaccine on those under 30. And Italy followed Germany and France by recommending it only for people over the age of 60. So obviously, we're going to see more and more headlines with regards to this, I would have thought, over the coming weeks and months. Anything you've
Yeah.
seen in the news, Steve? It's pretty light by the looks of things.
Yeah, news is snooze, really, isn't it? Not really interested in news today. More interested in technicals, mate, to be honest.
Yeah, what's going on in the technicals then? What are you seeing?
Well, I've sort of seen a little bit disappointed with that dollar yen trade yesterday. That was
Well,
sort
you
of
nailed
like,
it, didn't you?
well,
Didn't get stopped.
no, it didn't get stopped, but it just only followed through this morning. I'm sure we've got to sort of have a little steward's inquiry on when we close these trades off, but maybe I wouldn't be saying that if it was a losing trade, obviously.
No, I mean, I have noticed the same thing, just sort of updating that earlier today. There has been absolutely no follow through in anything really that we've done of late on the gun to the head, and I don't know if
No,
that's just markets in general. They're just sort of quite boring at the moment. I mean, if you look at the VIX, that's right, quite low. So there isn't much volatility anywhere really,
no,
and for looking for follow through and quick outcomes, you're just not going to get them.
no. So maybe we have to look. I mean, it very much goes back to the way I've always traded. Going from the days on the floor at trading, like a high frequency computer. And now sort of it's, the more appealing trades are maybe 1 to 2 days. That sort of setup. Maybe we should sort of like start to think about that as instead of the gun to the head challenge, move it towards that maybe next week or something. Have a little chat
Well,
about that.
yeah, I mean, it goes in phases, doesn't it? So we'll go through phases where volatility is high, and we'll see some decent outcomes because we'll catch some decent moves. But then you go through periods like now, which I guess is more typical for summer months rather than
Yeah,
spring months that we're seeing right now.
it does feel like we're due a big. I can't remember what was it. Was it yesterday? I looked at the indices. Maybe one of the charts I was looking at had. I think it was the Dow. Although it's not showing it now. I had a volume chart on the Dow, and it wasn't looking pretty. Let me see if I can get this up. Maybe add volume to it. No, wasn't the Dow. When I click through, I'll find it. But there was it was really showing that sort of like the price is pushing higher, but the volume is just dropping off all the time. So it feels like we're coming to a point of I don't know, realization that this is all sort of the inflated indices are all it's all hot air. And it makes you think when the Fed sort of come out with their reasons and excuses for the recent rise in yields is a reflection of the improving economic outlook. Are they off their heads, off their nuts, mate? I think is the word. I think, we could sort of like probably get together and do a bit of a better explanation on the reasons why that's happening. But yeah, I'll have a look for the. So I'll run through commodities first, and then I'll sort of try and find where.
Okay.
It definitely wasn't here. We're in the oil. We're in this little bit of a flag pattern at the moment, so I think this still has a little bit of potential to break to the downside. 57 $57 really is, for me, is the line in the sand. If we break it below there, we'll definitely have an accelerated move to the downside towards $54. In gold is really, I'm really interested in this this double bottom formation, or the potential for it. And we can see here a break of the neckline. I think it's at 1755, and that should extend higher and even have a move as high as 1835. So sort of like right back into this sort of like above the $1,800 if we get this double bottom formation playing out. It looks pretty good at the moment. I like it. Dollar index, as you said, is sort of like yesterday, sort of like a little bit of respite for it, bullish hammer, but seems to be giving back those gains early this morning. Yields holding up, 30-year yield at 234 in the US, and 10-year yield at 165. The German 10-year yield at negative 0.324. Not very nice. But don't tell me that the economy is recovering.
Just while you're on that, should I show you this VIX chart quickly?
Yeah, is that sort of like down in the doldrums?
Look at that.
Yeah.
So grinding lower. If you sort of draw this wedge, I guess it's breaking down below that today. And yesterday we've got some unfilled gaps down here at 1692, and then below at that at 1925. But I mean, if you look at the volume, clearly that's been dipping off with this price falling lower as you'd expect. So quite interesting, I think. At some point, it just sort of reverses on its heels and starts shooting up again. When you see these big blow-offs in volatility. This was obviously back in March time when we saw the lows in the equity markets. But it could get down here. There's quite big support down there at sort of 12 and a half.
Yeah.
So maybe we continue to see this lack of volatility and decent conditions for stock owners.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the sort of like the S&Ps as well, obviously, the top 500 US stocks, it's just sort of like been a bit of a parabolic move since the pandemic, and momentum is dying. It's sort of like, it looks so overdone. It looks like this big bubble, and I don't know what is going to pop it. But I think it's well overdue. Interest rates should be moving higher, and no one wants them to move higher, especially the sort of like the governments of the world. That would definitely sort of cause a lot of problems their end. So I'm sort of like a little bit waiting for the catalyst. I don't know what it'll be. Pretty poor. FTSE though, I wanted to just show FTSE really sort of pushing higher, back towards this 69.60 level, 69.35 we're trading. So we'll definitely get some sort of reaction around the 69.60, maybe a push through towards the 7,000. It's a nice big psychological round number. So I think we could get some excitement pushing through, but obviously it seems to be just grinding, so the volatility isn't great. But yeah, I just don't. I'm scratching my head and pulling my hair out, obviously. But yeah, so I don't know. Shaking my head. Disappointing. Asian Pacific, we've got the Aussie 200.
Well, looks like it could be reversing a bit.
Yeah, it's got that shooting star candle. This is a 4-hour chart. So, and the Nikkei 29,608, break below 29,500, and we could see some volatility pick up. And China 50 is under pressure after that sell-off between sort of like February and mid-March. So it remains under pressure and looking really for a break of this 16,700 for prices to extend lower. It does look like a inverse head and shoulders formation. So again, be wary if we do break above 17,800. That will wipe out. That'll start to sort of like target retracement levels around about 18,600 and above. So yeah, wish we could be a bit more excited about everything, but
Yeah,
we
it
can't.
does feel a bit like that. All right, well, let's have a look at what's going on with the FX side of things then, shall we? So let's first up look at the dollar index. So yesterday we did see, well, over the last few days we've seen a bit of selling, but yesterday we saw a bit of a bounce back, and that came pretty much bang on this support line here, which came in at 92.16. We're having another go at it today, engulfing sort of what we saw yesterday, but overall I still think there is upside potential in the dollar index in the short term. And I don't know whether that's position building for a potential sell-off at some point in equities, whether or not we are starting to see some accumulation in US dollars as a preventative measure by smart money, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But looking at it from a technical perspective, we've seen the break of this wedge, and it's sort of pushing higher. First targets have been sort of secured at 93.50, but I think there is potential for a bit of a push higher towards maybe 94.50-ish, where we've got sort of confluence of levels to potentially target. So for now, still bullish on dollar index in the very short term. If we look at euro dollar, which is often the inverse of the dollar index, then we can see there was a bit of a reversal posted yesterday. This candle here, bit of a shooting star maybe, following this sort of corrective move higher. A bit of a pickup in the volume as well. Not huge, but certainly if you look at that red bar down there, it's bigger than it has been in previous sessions on the selling. So maybe that suggests that there's a bit of fatigue there on the back of this small correction, that we will see selling resume at some point. It is higher today, but for me, it's still a case of looking to sell into strength there up to sort of 1950 in the short term. And maybe what we're building here is maybe a head and shoulders top pattern. It's premature because it hasn't broken any sort of neckline yet, but maybe we're building something similar to this. So watching and waiting for now. I think if we start to break down below these levels here, we've also got support in at this 38.2% fib level at 116.95. Then maybe we can start thinking about that as a top pattern. Talking of top patterns, it still looks quite good on Aussie US dollar. We've got a top pattern here on the daily chart, which broke for me on the 23rd of March, and since then all the price action has been contained below that neckline, as you can see there. Yesterday we saw a very large reversal candle on that, looking like a bearish outside day actually, which has been backed up today with some buying, but maybe that's just another opportunity to get short on that one. So really quite like that. Again, ultimate targets down here at 72.35. Aussie yen is another one that I like, although this hasn't quite completed the head and shoulders top pattern. We've seen the break of channel, but for me, we're forming a head and shoulders top here. We've rejected around, or in between the sort of 61.8 to 78.6% retracement of this. What I'm saying is the sort of formation of the head up to the right shoulder. Again, bearish looking day yesterday. I fancy this down as a minimum down to 82.32 to try and test the neckline of this potential head and shoulders pattern. And then if we complete, we're targeting a move all the way down here to sort of 79.16. So that's one of my favoured pairs at the moment. But as we've touched upon at the start, we're not really getting any follow through in any of these markets at the moment. If we look at cable, was quite interested in this because we saw a break of the wedge, but we've also seen a break of channel. So there was a bit of a battle going on as to where this would go next. But if we remove this wedge, now you can see it a little clearer. We've seen a break of this channel, a retest of this channel, and the sellers have stepped in to send it lower. So the last 2 days have been pretty bearish for sterling against the US dollar. So maybe we're going to see a continuation lower on that. First target is down at this 38.2, which is 136.42. Then we'll be looking down to the 50% fib level at 134.58. Let's have a quick look at dollar yen. Steve, you mentioned this one. You were trying to fade a move lower on this one following the break of this long-term downtrend, which goes all the way back to 2015. So price has been below that trend line for a significant period of time. We saw a decent break above it and a push higher, but now we're looking for a retreat back towards the trend line as a retest maybe before a continuation higher. So I've targeted that level at 108.95 as a potential area to think about getting long. But I can understand the sort of fading of that move, and it's doesn't look like it's finished just yet. So that pretty much rounds it up on what I'm looking at on the FX side of things, and we can segue into the guns to the head trade ideas from yesterday. Steve, you were short of dollar yen. Let's get the spreadsheet up. I didn't have it open. There we go. Where are we? Okay, Steve, you had dollar yen, so you made 5 ticks on that, 0.42R. So obviously that was a tight stop loss you had on that, and we had a 0.57R return on Aussie US dollar. So 4 wins in a row, but as we keep saying, we're not getting really any follow through. So we've had 4 wins, but that's only 1.5R collectively. But when we're getting stop outs, they're we're taking 4 hits on the chin with those. So hopefully we can pull off a succession of bigger winners to help us get back on track. Yeah. Anything you fancy today?
I do. Just looking through the forex. I mean, there's plenty obviously to look through. The one that really sort of caught my eye was New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Weekly chart, shooting star candle, very sort of prominent shooting star candle, and since then we have been under a bit of pressure, which has taken us below the swing low of here, the 70 level. On the daily chart, we've got got this little let's get rid of this, let's not extend it right. There are little flag, bearish flag formation potentially, and if we have a look at the candles within that bearish flag, we've got this really positive swing higher, and then hang on, red traffic light, stop, reverse, indecision. Yeah, sort of like hanging man, then a complete reversal of the next day, and we've got this little move up this morning that we're getting. But is this, looking at the hourly chart, the move up? Oh, shooting star candle.
Yeah.
So that's played into my hands rather nicely. Thank you very much, says Lex Luthor. That gives us a nice risk reward possibility of a trade. We can have quite a tight stop, a 15 pip stop. Well, it should make it 15 pips because I like round numbers. I get a bit edgy with get a bit scared when we don't have round numbers. So we're getting short at 70.30.8. It's actually 70.32 now. This will make my round numbers a bit better. 70.32. We're going to have the stop at 70.47, just above that swing high there, and we're going to target a 3-to-1 risk reward because I like the number 3, funny enough. But yeah, so this will sort of like, for me, we could see this moving down in this sort of channel here now. So it sort of like picks up from the weekly, the daily. Even if you look at the 4-hour, is this a potential for a double top here? It's sort of, I wish that the arrows were red. It's broken above it, below the neckline here, but further extension below there, and we should see it move all the way down to these previous levels, 69.43.
Lovely.
So that's it.
Yeah, totally with you. I am bearish of that too, and I'm just going to keep banging the Aussie drum. I think for now I've highlighted Aussie US dollar and Aussie yen as pairs that I want to be targeting on the short side. So this is Aussie dollar Made a little bit on it yesterday. We've seen a rally high today, and similar to what Steve just showed on that New Zealand dollar chart, we've got a shooting star candle that's formed there. So that gives us a decent reference for a stop loss. It's currently trading at 76.34. I'm going to target a move down to 75.75 with a stop loss at 75.54. So 19 ticks on stop, roughly 60 on the target. So looking for 3-1 on that one, like Steve is as well. So hopefully that works out for both of us, and we're both got 3R in the bank come this time tomorrow.
Woo! Nice.
Good luck.
Yeah, and you, mate.
Okay, so what we got today in terms of data, we have at 9:30, so in 23 minutes, we've got UK construction PMI. The index is expected to rise to 54.1 from 53.3. And then later today at 1:30, we have the US weekly jobless claims, forecast to decline to 675,000 following last week's reading of 719,000. We've got ECB minutes today as well. So there's a few things of note to keep us interested. Anything else you've seen, Steve?
No, just noticing New Zealand banning entry of all travellers from India amid rising COVID-19 cases.
Okay.
And also, great place. Obviously, not a has handled the COVID quite well, but buying a house there is pretty bloody expensive, mate.
The bubble's still raging, is it, over there?
Well, I think you see this. How much would you pay for this?
Hang on. Well, that's basically a shed, isn't it?
Yeah, 1.3 million shed.
Fuck off. What?
See, if they sort of smartened the windows up a little bit, I reckon they get 1.4 for that.
What's the view? You need to see the other side of what it's looking at. Is that a beachfront or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I imagine it's a sort of like fantastic scenery, but still a bit lumpy. Maybe they'll throw the car in for that. Do you think?
Yeah, is that garage got to be chucked in at the back, isn't it?
I don't know. I think I'd want them to tidy it up a little bit before I sort of. It looks like a caravan's just been attached to a sort of like shed.
Yeah.
Really weird. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to be moving there anytime
chimney.
soon. Yeah. Funny. Anyway, let's sell the New Zealand dollar, make it cheaper, eh?
All right, lovely. Okay, well, have a great day, everybody. Good luck if you're trading, and we'll be back tomorrow morning.
Cheers.